Hello, and welcome to another episode of my 30 plus decks. Today I'm going to be using one that I built entirely by myself. I was just given the thick card from a pre-constructed deck. This is Ixhel, Scion of Atraxa. So for one, white, black, and green, so Abzan. This is a 2/5 Flying Vigilance Toxic 2, so this is a poison deck. It has Corrupted at the beginning of my end step. Each opponent who has 3 or more poison counters exiles the top card of their library face down. I may look at and play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and I may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast those spells. So with this deck, it's honestly a little bit difficult to practice because I'm playing as though I had 3 opponents, and I don't actually have their cards to take. So this is entirely something where I try and do my best as I'm practicing the deck, and I just have to build up my board state. That's all that I'm trying to do. Any poison that I'm able to go in, if I am able to have Ixhel swing in and actually deal 2 or 3 poison, I will never get those corrupted benefits, which just makes it a little bit harder when I'm actually playing the deck in a group. I tend to forget that end step trigger, so I have to make reminders. Anyways, with this deck, like I was saying, I built it entirely from scratch, but it wasn't like I didn't have anywhere to go from. I had a couple of starting points because I had a couple of decks. Funny enough, they were each white, black, green, but one of them was from March of the Machines, which had incubation and 1/1 counters and just a whole bunch of proliferation in that sense. And then there was Phyrexia All Will Be One, which had a bunch more toxic and had just ways to proliferate in that sense. So this is a combination of the 2 decks. I have a bunch of ways to make incubations. I have a bunch of ways to put on 1/1 counters. I have a number of ways to give my opponents poison counters. A whole bunch of ways to proliferate. And I have been working on this deck a little bit more recently. I got a couple of new cards. I think it was from Aether Drift that I added to this deck. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but I know that I've definitely added a couple of cards to this. I also have been getting a couple of things through Nitpicking Nerds auction on Whatnot, including this playmat, and they also were auctioning off some planeswalkers, and I ended up getting a what would it be? Phyrexian script Vraska from Phyrexia All Will Be One, I believe. And so I have that translated on my phone. If I get her out, I know that her -9 gets me, or target opponent who has less than 9 poison counters gets up to 9 poison counters. Yeah, she's cool. Anyways, let's just jump right into it. I've got my hand ready. I'm excited to play. I'm actually planning on playing this deck at my next game night with friends, and so that'll be tonight. Anyways, let's get right into it. Turn 1 draw. Let's start off with Verdant Catacombs. I will tap it, and I will pay a life, and I will search for a swamp or forest card. And I'm going to be honest, I don't remember if I have any special forest swamps or maybe forest plains, because it is a white deck. Maybe a swamp plains. Let me just check real quick. And if not, that's perfectly fine, because those, if I did have any, there's a chance that it would just enter tapped, and that is looking like I don't. Anyways, I'll go for just a forest, because I can use it. Since I paid 1 life, it does not enter tapped. That's kind of how those lands work. I pay the life, search for the land, put it on the battlefield, done shuffle. And as I'm shuffling, this is one of those Dungeons and Dragons lands that has a flavor text. So, as the sun reaches on its zenith on the day of the solstice, a castle shimmers into view on the hilltop, just as the ancient texts predicted. And anyways, I will tap this for a green, cast Thirsting Roots, and I actually could have just searched for this before doing all that, my bad. I will search my library for a basic land, reveal it, put it into my hand, and I would like a swamp. I'll make this quick. Bam, there's that swamp. Goes to my hand. That will be that first turn. Now I have land rolling. Let's go to turn 2. Draw. Very cool. I don't think that I have anything to play this turn, so I'm going to play a tapped land. I'm going to go with this Thriving Heath. Enters tapped. I choose a color other than white. I will choose black, so this can tap for white or black. And let's go to turn 3. Untap that. Draw. Here we go. I will play that land that I searched for. Go green and 2 for a Kami of Whispered Hopes. This is if one or more 1/1 counters would be put on a permanent I control. Put that many +1 1/1 counters on that permanent instead. I can tap it for X of any one color where X is its power. Let's go to turn 4. Untap. Upkeep. Draw. Very cool. Let's see. I can just straight up play my commander, and I don't need a untapped land. So let's go with an Evolving Wilds. I'll crack this for a Plains, but I guess in the meantime I will also just tap this for 4 white, green, black, and 1 for Ixhel, Scion of Atraxa. Then I will search for my Plains. Seeking to learn why the ancestors have fallen silent, you've made your way to their ancient cairns. That's that Plains flavor text. Here we go. Let's go to turn 5. Let's untap, upkeep, draw. That will be a swamp as my land for turn. Let me just check something real quick. Interesting. That's nice. Let's... Sure, let's go with it. White, white, and 2. I will cast Elesh Norn. And that is just Elesh Norn. Bam, Elesh Norn. 3/5 Vigilance. If a source an opponent controls deals damage to me or a permanent I control, that source's controller loses 2 life unless they pay 1. And then for 2 and a white, I can sacrifice 3 other creatures, exile Elesh Norn, and return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control, only as a sorcery. And this one, the backside makes it incubate 2 5 times, then transform all incubator tokens you control. That's awesome, because right now incubate 2 would be them entering with 3 1 counters because of Kami. And yeah, that's just a cool card. Let's continue. I will swing Ixhel at someone. And hopefully they don't have flying, so I can get 1 poison in on someone. But I don't think that I'm even going to track poison. It's besides the fact that I do have something to proliferate. How about that? That would only be 2 poison because it's toxic 2. Let's go to turn 6. We'll untap, upkeep, draw. Ooh, now that is really nice. Let's go with it. White, black, green, and 1. Thalia and the Gitrug monster. 4/4 first strike, death touch. I may play an additional land on each of my turns, which I don't have any lands to play right now. Creatures and non-basic lands my opponents control enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever Thalia and the Gitrog monster attack, sacrifice a creature or land, then draw a card. I could keep on swinging with Ixhel, and that's probably what I'll be doing. Final turn. Let's go untap, upkeep, draw. That's a land. As you venture deeper under the boughs of Neverwinter Wood, arrows in a tree trunk suggest you might not be welcome. Anyways, let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to work with. I could cast That's actually very interesting. Okay, I think we're going to do this. Black, black, and 2. And I will cast Phyrexian Vatmother. So this one is one of my newer editions. I think that I got it through an auction. 4/5 Infect, which Infect is very different from Toxic. Toxic could be ideal you 5 damage, but my guy is only a Toxic 1, so you only get 1 poison. Phyrexian Vatmother is a 4/5, which if it deals combat damage to a creature, they get 4 -1/-1 counters and, instead of taking damage. And the player, it would take 4 poison counters. So if I buff this up to 10, that can just one-shot, because poison counters, it only takes 10 for you to die. Then, let's go something like black and 2, and I'll cast Vraska's Fall. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker and gets a poison counter. So now each of my opponents have at least 1 poison. I would try and swing with Ixhel, 1 at each of my opponents, or once at each of my opponents to try and just get 2, and then 2, and then right now swinging for another 2. Hopefully that gets in, because if they try and block and deal damage to my Ixhel, they will be losing life or paying 1 per damage dealt. And if she got through to that third person, that would mean each of my opponents has 3, which would be corrupted for each of my opponents, which is awesome. I've got them kind of locked with Thalia. I do have ways to give counters in my deck for Kami. But as far as a next turn, Phyrexian Vatmother also has this line. At the beginning of my upkeep, I get a poison counter. So it's a 4/5 Infect, so it's able to deal a whole bunch of poison, but I also get poison. So there's kind of that give and take. Also, like I was mentioning, well, I guess what's in my hand, I've got Whisper of the Dross. Target creature gets -1/-1 until the end of turn, and I proliferate. Tiller of Flesh, which I probably would have done next turn before casting that Whisper of the Dross. So whenever I cast a spell that targets 1 or more permanents, I incubate 2. So effectively that would be if I have this out, and then I cast Whisper of the Dross. Casting it and targeting, choosing my targets, happen at the same time. So before this even resolves, I've chosen my targets, and then that is me casting a spell that targets 1 or more permanents. I incubate 2, and then when it resolves, I proliferate, which, as far as it goes, the Kami would make that incubate 2, incubate 3, and then the proliferate would make that from 3 up to 5. And I did have Invasion of Fioria in my hand, which is a board wipe, in a sense. I could have had it a mean one. This is destroy all legendary creatures, destroy all non-legendary creatures. I can choose 1 or both. It has 4 as its kind of battle damage, battle toughness, I don't know. Turns into Marquesa, Resolute Monarch. 3/6 Menace, Death Touch. Whenever she attacks, remove all counters from up to 1 target permanent, and at the beginning of my upkeep, if I haven't been dealt combat damage since my last turn, I draw a card and lose a life, which is very cool. I like that one in the deck. It's kind of tricky to maybe get to work because I have a good mix of legendary and non-legendary creatures, but board wipes are just good to have, especially if that's the only thing up your sleeve and then they actually get to deal with you, then you can board wipe and bring them down to your level, or however that works. It's also something where you can just say I destroy all non-legendary creatures and then keep at least commanders around, so that's kind of nice. I have thought about putting something like Slash the Ranks into here. That's one of my favorite board wipes in Commander. I hope I wasn't zoomed in for too terribly long right there. No, I think that was just for my last hand. Good. But yeah, I like Slash the Ranks. Destroy all creatures and all planeswalkers that aren't commanders. I think that one, if you get salty about that one, you're just you're just salty. Anyways, I think I'm just gonna play this one game, see how it goes with, I don't know, however this is going, because I really like how this deck has been going. I think that just as far as it goes, having this card in the deck is just too cool. I'm just showing it. Yeah, I got this one at auction. I got it for, honestly, when I don't remember what it was, maybe $6 or $8, and then I looked up online and it was like 11 or something like that, and I felt like it was a steal. Phyrexian Script, you guys. Man. I've gotten the one from Vorinclex, I want to say, and it's kind of funny how the Phyrexian Script, it's kind of literal when it's translated. So, like, almost like Death Touch would be the touch of death, as far as, the translation, or something along those lines. Trample, I remember kind of giving me a giggle. It was kind of funny. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. I know that I enjoyed playing for you. And there we go. Metastatic Evangel was one that I just kept on. I got it out very early, and whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield, I proliferate. That one was beautiful in this deck. Oh my goodness. I still feel like I need to make some changes. I really don't know what yet, but truth be told, this is, I think, the last of my decks that I've been showing off. I think that this is up to, what, 30, 36, 37 videos, something like that, for my 30 plus decks. Yeah. So I think that from this point on, any videos that I make are going to be repeat videos of decks that I've already shown off, but probably based off of ones that I've improved, or just ones that I want to show off, ones that consistently go well, maybe even newer decks, because I'm always building new decks. Sweet. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Later.